All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us again for another session of our ISTE-Lib PD. We're super happy to have Matt Richardson from the Raspberry Pi Foundation with us, joining from California. But before we get into talking about Raspberry Pi, some of the upcoming professional development opportunities that they have, some things that they have in the works for ISTE, and just some other awesome things that are offered through the Pi Foundation, we're going to talk real quick about some logistical things for our special interest group. So first thing I want to talk about is we are still taking submissions for proposals at the playground. So if you are in the past have just been a participant at ISTE, but are sort of looking at easing your way into the presenting world, or maybe you've presented a lot, but you just don't want to invest as much time in that, I would strongly consider you looking at doing something at the playground. And please do not think that you don't have anything good enough to share at the playground. Last year we had things, I actually presented just on Google Cardboard. And I just brought a bunch of my Google Cardboards. I had some phones that were downloaded with some of the apps that my kids like, some of the ones that my teachers use. And it was just a chance for people to come and actually experience it without necessarily the pressure that a vendor might give you in the expo hall. Diana presented on using Connects. I know Alyssa presented last year on a software called Library Track that she uses in her library. Again, a lot of the things that you're going to see in our playground, you might also see in the expo hall, but the advantage is that you're seeing them presented by librarians who are actually using it in their school. So you get to ask questions like, okay, so you have Google Cardboard. Well, what do? Do you check them out, or do you barcode them, or do you keep them as a set, or do you let kids pick the apps? All of those questions that you might not necessarily be able to get a lot of answers from when asking a vendor, because you want to know what it looks like in the library. Okay, you understand what a Google Cardboard is? That's fine, but having the ability to talk with other librarians that use that tool and how they implement it is so awesome. So also, we're also have a few slots left for vendors. So if you have any tools that you absolutely love that you want to share the word with, maybe you don't want to do it on your own, we are still accepting some slots for vendor spaces. Only real basically, they can't do any selling there, but if they just want to, share their product with librarians and how they can target and help us, that would be awesome. All of that information can be found on our Weebly. Other thing is we have received a lot of submissions for the primary and secondary award that will be given out at ISTE. So we will keep you updated with that. I think this is one of the biggest years in terms of number of submissions for both categories. Usually we have one category that has a lot of submissions and the other not so many, but this is going to be a very, very tough year. So last thing is, if you are following along on this webinar and you have any questions that you would like to ask Matt, or any logistical questions about ISTE-Lib, throw them up on Twitter with hashtag ISTE-Lib, or you can reach out to any of the leadership team at any time, of course, if you're watching this in the archive. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Matt and get this party started.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather. It's so great to be here. My name is Matt Richardson. I'm the Executive Director for the Raspberry Pi Foundation in North America. I'm going to talk a little bit about what a Raspberry Pi is, what the Raspberry Pi Foundation is all about, what our mission is, and the sort of work we do out in the world. And that includes some professional development opportunities and some publications that we have, and our products as well, and what we do and how it all works. So I think it's probably best if I just start off with what is a Raspberry Pi, and I'll show you what it looks like here. For those of you who have never seen one, hopefully that's coming in clear. This is a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a computer, full stop, okay? So that means you can connect a keyboard and mouse over USB. You have an HDMI port for a monitor there. And you plug in a power supply and an SD card, which acts as a hard drive, and you boot it up, and it does all the things that you expect a computer to do. So you can browse the web, write an email, work on a Word document, that kind of thing. It runs an operating system based on Linux. And yeah, you've got a full computer. The best part of this particular computer is that this is our top of the line model. This is Raspberry Pi 3. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in. This is our top of the line model. It's $35. And it's a little different from a computer as well because it has these pins on it here. These are GPIO pins. This is all about creating, wiring up your own electronics to the computer. So we're all about digital making, and we want to see people creating and making things with computers. So this is a computer that you can make things with, and that's what we're really excited about, and we call that digital making. We are the Raspberry Pi Foundation. We are an educational charity. We started in the United Kingdom quite a few years ago. This product has been around for about 5 years now. And our foundation, our charity, is supported by the sale of these tiny, affordable computers. So our mission is to put the power of digital making into the hands of people all over the world. For one way we achieve that mission is by selling really, really, really affordable computers. And as I said, this is our top of the line model. This is the $35 Raspberry Pi. We also have a $5 Raspberry Pi Zero, which is still a full computer. It has all the power of a computer, but it's much smaller and it has a few less components on it and it's much more affordable. And this is the kind of thing we like to see people taking computers like these and making things with them. So that's on the product side. That's kind of what we make and that's what we create, and that's really mostly what funds what we do. In terms of the charitable work that we do, we also create free resources for educators to use, educators of all types, on our website, raspberrypi.org. That's P-I, not P-I-E. There are tons of free resources. They are Creative Commons licensed, so you're free to print them up and redistribute them as you see fit. They include how to get started with Raspberry Pi, how to learn how to program and code using programming languages like Scratch and Python and Java and JavaScript and all these other PHP, lots of different programming languages that you can use with Raspberry Pi and learn how to code with them, but also making projects with it. And as I keep saying, using the computer as a material, that's an idea I'm stealing from Seymour Papert. This idea that the computer isn't just a tool, it's something that you should be able to create and make things with, and that's what we want to see more young people doing. So our resources are really aimed at, hey, how do I get my teddy bear to send a tweet? That kind of thing. That's the sort of thing that we want to see happening. Another thing that we do, in addition to the resources, we have resources that are free online. We also have a print magazine for hobbyists called the Magpie. This is available as a subscription. It's also available as a free PDF online. You can really go to our website, click on the Magpie, and this is a free PDF that you can download and print yourself. So we're all about getting these resources out there and getting them to people. This magazine is great because it's all about making and creating, and it appeals especially to young people and hobbyists. These are people who are looking for inspiration for what kinds of things can they make. And we show off what people make. We show people a little bit of coding. We show people how to do things. It's a really fantastic resource. It's a great way to find inspiration. There's another publication that we have called Hello World. This one is, again, free as a PDF online. You can subscribe with your email address. It's only available in print in the UK for now, but it is free as a PDF online. You can download it. This is our educator-focused magazine. It's all about coding and computing and digital making for educators. This is a fantastic new resource, and we will have a few copies of these at ISTE for people to look through as well. I think we're going to come out with these maybe 3 or 4 per year. So this one is a little bit less frequent, whereas the Magpie comes out every month. So we have the print resources. We have books as well. I don't have any handy to show you guys, unfortunately. But those books, we have books about using Sonic Pi to make music with Raspberry Pi. We have books about learning C. There we go, tons. There you go. That's not one of our books, but there's tons of books out there. And we publish our own books, and again, all of them are free PDFs online. You don't need to buy things from us. We try to make the hardware and the computer as affordable as we possibly can, and then we try to give away as much as we possibly can as a charity just to get more young people learning how to make and create with computers. Another thing we do as a charity is we train educators for free. And this is something I really wanted to get into a lot with all of you. We have a professional development program called PyCademy. It's a 2-day workshop. It's in person, it's hands-on. Last year we launched it in the United States, and we held 4 workshops, 2 in the Bay Area, 1 in Austin, and 1 in Baltimore. And we bring 40 of the best educators together. They get the workshop for free. They learn about digital making. They learn about how to use the Raspberry Pi to code, to build things, to create things, wiring up sensors and switches and cameras, and making actual things with computers. We get the educators collaborating together. We get them building projects together. We challenge them to collaborate to make a particular thing with a particular motor, let's say. And then that's the whole first day. It's a whirlwind of learning lots of different things. And no matter what your skill level, you can know how to code. You may have already used Raspberry Pi, or maybe you've never written a line of code in your life. It's a little bit of everybody. And it's lots of different types of educators as well. So we have certainly classroom educators, mostly K-12 classroom educators, sometimes community college educators. We have tons of librarians coming through, and we love seeing librarians. We have museum educators at PyCademy. There are lots of different kinds of educators that we hope can come together and learn from each other. This is really what PyCademy is all about. On the second day of the workshop, you're challenged to build and create something in collaboration with your peers. So what you make is up to you. And at the end of the second day, you present it to everybody and you share what you've learned, what obstacles you've hit. It's all about just jumping into the deep end and learning as you go and learning from each other. And the outcomes have been fantastic. At the end of the second day, you become a Raspberry Pi certified educator, and you get one of these neat little pins that people seem to really, really like a lot. This means you're part of a club of Raspberry Pi certified educators. We have over 1,000 all over the world. This is an incredibly engaged, incredibly enthusiastic and passionate group of educators that we're really proud of. We're really proud of this network. They all stay connected with each other. You'll continue to communicate with your own cohort, and then you'll start to communicate with Raspberry Pi educators all over the world. So that's generally about PyCademy, and I did want to let everybody who's listening know that the Raspberry Pi Foundation has expanded the PyCademy program in the United States. So in 2017, we will run PyCademy workshops 8 times in 4 different locations. So that's a total of 8 PyCademies. We run it twice at each location. We're going to start in Providence, Rhode Island in mid-June or early June. Then we're going to head, the next stop is Irvine, California, Southern California in Orange County. And then we are going to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then that's July. And then in August, we will be in Boise, Idaho. So this is a professional development opportunity. Again, it's free for educators. They have to just apply to be a part of the cohort. I should say at the outset that it's pretty competitive. It's a pretty competitive application process. In 2016, we accepted 1 in 10 educators who applied to the program. So you really want to put your best foot forward when you submit your application. And you do want to submit your application soon. I think mid-April or early April is when we start closing applications. So early April, we'll close applications for anyone who's applying to the Providence PyCademy, for instance, and then we'll start selecting the cohort so that we'll start letting people know if they got in or not then. So I encourage you to apply. Show us how passionate you are as an educator. Show us what you're doing and how you get the word out and how you make an impact in the world. That's the kind of thing we want to see. And those are the kinds of educators we want to meet. And so we're always really interested in getting an incredible cohort of educators together so that not only they're becoming a part of the Raspberry Pi community, but they're learning from each other. We want educators who are joining us for Pi Academy to meet lots of cool people and learn from each other. So I did want to show, while I have our annual report here from 2016. Heather, you are not only a Raspberry Pi certified educator, but you made it into our annual report. There's the two of us. When you were in Baltimore with us at the Digital Harbor Foundation, who was a fantastic partner, and you got certified as a Raspberry Pi certified educator, and you're indelibly marked in our 2016 annual report there. So, I can't promise all certified educators will end up in our annual report like Heather has, but you will at least join a really strong community, a really passionate and engaged community of educators, and we're really excited. We hope we get tons of applications. We want to read about you. We want to learn about what you know and what you want to learn about at our professional development program. In the United States, that's our big effort is Pi Academy, and that's what we work on the most right now. As I said, we're based in the United Kingdom, and we have about 50 to 60 employees in the United Kingdom, and there's only 2 of us in the US. But we're working hard to expand what we do, but Pi Academy for now is the big thing, and we want to welcome more educators into it. Heather, unless there's anything else I should talk about and tell people about Pi Academy, I can. I got other things I can talk about. I can talk about ISTE if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, definitely mention some of the things that are going on at ISTE, just because obviously we're our ISTE Librarians Network.
Yeah, absolutely. So Raspberry Pi Foundation is going to be at ISTE in San Antonio. We're really excited to be there. We had a presence last year. The big thing that we're doing at ISTE is we have a Raspberry Jam. And a Raspberry Jam is just a get-together of Raspberry Pi enthusiasts. This is people who love Raspberry Pi and have been using it. These are people who, we call them Pi curious, people who are kind of interested but don't know what Raspberry Pi is all about. This is where they can meet other people. This is where they can show off what they do. So on Monday evening at ISTE, we're in the ISTE program. So if you just search the program for Raspberry, you'll be able to start in your own program so you can remember to come. So the Raspberry Jam is on Monday night. We'll have, I think, 5 of us Raspberry Pi staffers, tons of Raspberry Pi certified educators, and at the very least, we're all getting together and saying hello, but we're gonna also, I think, have a lot of other people coming along and showing some cool stuff that they can do with Raspberry Pi. That's something you can just show up to, but we have a form, and what I'll do is I'm gonna tweet out now a link to a form, and I'll use the ISTELib hashtag, so that if you're interested in showing something at ISTE, at the Jam, there's a little form you can fill out. This is just so we know you're coming and we can reserve a table for you. So I just tweeted that out with the ISTELib hashtag, and hopefully that came through. Anyway, so Jam is really informal. It's really fun. It's just a way to get people together and talking about Raspberry Pi. If you're going to use the old terminology of the old computing days, it's a user group meeting, essentially. We also are having a panel, a digital making panel with 2 members of our education team and 2 Raspberry Pi certified educators. Carrie Ann Philbin, our education lead, and James Robinson, our training manager, will be there talking about digital making with 2 Raspberry Pi certified educators, Amanda Haas and Nick Provenzano. It looks like a great panel. Again, look it up in the schedule. And then James is also going to be giving a talk about launching Raspberry Pis into near space. You can take these big weather balloons, fill them up with helium, put a Raspberry Pi into a payload attached to them, send them up into the sky, and then collect data about what's going on in the atmosphere, and you can track it over GPS. And then you collect the Raspberry Pi wherever it lands on the Earth, and then you look at the results, you look at the photos. It's a really fantastic way to use Raspberry Pi because it combines science, like environmental science and weather. You're looking at technology and coding because you've got to use a little bit of code to get the data. You're looking at all different kinds of disciplines need to come together in order to do this, and it's great for students. So James is going to be talking about that at ISTE as well. So we are planning to be around at ISTE. We hope to be at a few playgrounds as well. Keep an eye out for us. We'll probably be wearing our Raspberry Pi t-shirts. And stop us and say hello, or tweet at us, and we'll come find you. We're here to say hello and meet people and get connected.
Cool. Yeah. So I have my.
Yeah. Good.
It is very important. Sorry, I'm echoing. I can hear myself talk, which is really throwing me off. Something I want to mention though, for those of you that are watching this and, okay, maybe you've heard the name Raspberry Pi, but you kind of don't feel like you're there yet. Don't worry. This is the absolute place for you. Alyssa and myself were both at the Baltimore one, and she and I were sitting in the back and we're like looking around, trying to size everybody up. And then we slowly realized nobody knew what they were doing. I think that's what you need to recognize. Pi Academy isn't for the people that have mastered Raspberry Pi. It's for the people like you and I that are willing and we want to learn how and what to do with it, but we don't know where to start, or we're just kind of like lost. We kind of think like you need to be like some advanced programmer in order to do something. It's not about that at all. I remember the first time we made something light up, it was like we had just struck oil. It's so incredible. And now, just this past weekend, I was just presenting specifically on Raspberry Pi in Florida. It's amazing how much you learn just in this short period of time. And again, it's not like you're going to walk out of there a master, but you walk out of there with the tools and the resources and this community. If any of you use Voxer, there's a whole Pi Academy Voxer group. And right when I was prepping for this conference, and even before then, I get stuck on something and I can just throw something on Voxer, and immediately I'm getting responses from several people. Our cohort, the Baltimore cohort, we had a Facebook group. And I mean, there's a hashtag, now there's a Twitter chat. It's awesome. And I think that the coolest thing for me is, obviously, being a maker educator, is I love the open-endedness of Raspberry Pi. There are some products out there that they are they're not as open-ended, where I think one of the coolest questions that people ask me is, okay, well, what can you do with a Raspberry Pi? And it's really more like whatever you want. There are no limitations. And in addition to just the Raspberry Pi, like I have something, like I have this Grove Pi kit, which I actually won at Pi Academy, but it's just a ton of sensors. I tweeted out something today about a robotic vacuum, a Roomba. So they have this kit called the Create 2 from iRobot, the company that makes Roomba. And you can program it with a Raspberry Pi. It's just one of those things, like once it comes on your radar, you start to see all of the applications for it. It's amazing. It's just like if somebody would hand you a laptop and ask you, okay, well, what am I supposed to do with this? How do you even start? You can do so many things with it. You can make movies, you can create your own programs, you can write a letter, whatever. You can have a live video conference with people across the world. I love that it's so open-ended, but that you don't necessarily have to, like right now I'm looking at a computer screen and that's what I think of as a computer, but the fact that you can use this to make something physical and then it doesn't have to be attached to a monitor at all was mind-blowing for me. Like, okay, we made this. And Alyssa, we talk about, I don't know, but it comes up like in every conversation, cuppy. So we made this cup spin around with straws. Like that's all it did. But it was powered by this Raspberry Pi. And it was so enlightening for me, because I really started to approach the way that I teach certain things to my kids. And it also made me really look at some of the other products that I had a lot differently, because seeing this super cheap, open-ended thing compared to some of the things that I was spending an exorbitant amount of money on, which I hate to say it, but my kids would get, you know, they do it, they build it, they get bored in a couple of weeks. It was awesome for me. So, and the reason why I brought Matt on is because as he mentioned, there were a lot of librarians there. There were a ton of librarians just in my cohort alone. We totally dominated. We do that. We do that. But like one of the projects that we got together is we were going to make, anytime a book was returned, to take a picture and then automatically post it to our Instagram feed so that people could see the popular books that were because obviously the most popular books are the ones that are always on our carts, you know, of returned books. It was just so awesome to see, okay, now maybe I could understand what a Raspberry Pi is on my own by, you know, looking at the website or reading a book or two, but seeing what that application is in the library, you can get that at a Pi Academy, because I guarantee there's going to be other librarians. And you have always been, as the librarian, sort of that person in the school that we get to see every student and we get to work with every teacher. So it is so powerful for you to be that expert, or that at least the person that they can go to for more information. And I think there are a lot of people out there that, again, they've heard the name Raspberry Pi, but they're not quite sure what it is or what the potential is. So I cannot encourage you enough to go. It was truly such a exhilarating experience. I went over the summer and I was like pissed that it was summer break because I couldn't come back to my kids. That's a stretch. I was glad it was summer break. But still, it was, you know, it's just invigorating. You have all of these tools and all of these ideas. And then again, knowing that it's $35 and it's not one of these things that, okay, you're going to go to ISTE and you're going to see all these things that you want. I still really, really want a laser engraver, but I can't afford it. It's so far out of my reach. But this is something that, and even if you go to Pi Academy, you walk away with tons of stuff to get you started, which is so, so awesome. And again, and Matt didn't even mention this, but so he mentioned the $5 Raspberry Pi Zero. They just launched the Pi Zero W, actually out of stock like everywhere, Matt. So
sorry.
It's like on back order. But it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth as well. $10. So cool. So yeah, I hope that you guys really consider it, and do not say I'm not one of those people, because honest to God, I do not know a single line of, well, I didn't before I went to Pi Academy. A single line of code. I still thought my Mac was what a computer was. So please just don't be discouraged by it and think that you're going to be in a room full of know-it-alls. I'm just assuming, but since it is a base level training, that's not even what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So definitely apply. Go ahead, Matt.
We're looking for people who are passionate and interested and have the can-do attitude. It doesn't take, in fact, we really prefer people who bring a lot to the table in terms of other experience. And, you know, we have, you know, tons of even educators who don't even work in the realm of technology. We've had literature teachers, we have theater educators. But there are so many ways to apply this. It's very, very open-ended, and we're not prescriptive for how it's used. And we expect that every day we expect to see some new use of Raspberry Pi that we hadn't even fathomed. You know, we see people going forth with it and doing new and interesting things with it. Libraries in particular, not only do they use it for their patrons, but they use it themselves for OPEX, checkout stations, digital signage is a big use for Raspberry Pi. So they're using it themselves as well, and I like that, because it's about, you know, they put their money where their mouth is. They actually do use the stuff, and it's just really great. It's really great. As I said, every day we see some new and interesting use for it in the world of research. And I should say also, this isn't a toy computer. It's not. It is a real full-blown computer that's doing some really serious work in the world, be it in factories and warehouses. It's out in the field. Scientists are deploying Raspberry Pis in the field to do research on, you know, biology and animals and all that. And those are the kind of stories we like to tell in our resources that we have. Just to say, like, to youth especially, computers are what they're capable of and how they empower you. We want to inspire people in that way. We want people to think like, okay, I've got this Raspberry Pi. What do I do with it? And like you said, it's like, well, what can't you do with it? Or, you know, what do you want to do? And it could be anything from, you know, making music, making art, you know, doing some theater tech stuff, doing research out in the field. These are all different possibilities. You can also just use it like you use a computer, like you expect, and that's, you know, we're hoping to sort of broaden the idea of what a computer is capable of and how it can empower people beyond what your normal expectations are.
Yeah, and that's something I just want to mention. Like, if you have any time, check out the Raspberry Pi Foundation's website, because one of the things that I love is that the whole reason why the Pi Foundation started was because so many students are being passive users of technology. Again, they're like me. I thought a computer was something with a monitor and a huge, what I called the tower, and then your keyboard. That was your computer. Not having any idea what was happening when I was opening Word, when I was launching an internet browser. And I mean, I hate to say it, but people are making a lot of money off of my ignorance. And so I just love this idea that this foundation was rooted in education. You know, it's not like one of those things, oh, we created this for businesses, but it might also be applicable in schools. No, this foundation started targeting students and teachers just for the purpose of getting them more informed about the technology that they're using and to contribute and be active users of technology instead of just consuming. And librarians have always been about that. We want our teachers and students, we always say that phrase, ethical users of information and consumers of information. And now the conversation is changing to producers of information with the whole maker movement. This is amazing because so much of that digital making, like Matt was talking about, can be so applicable and relevant and affordable in libraries. And again, we're one of those places where students, every student in the school can come to see us because of our open environment. And so I think that's what's so awesome. So I cannot stress enough, Pi Academy, you are not going to be a room full of STEM teachers or some, you know, title that we don't really know what it means, but we think it means that they're really smart. It's not going to be that. It's going to be people just like you and I who just have an interest in it and know that it's going to be impactful for our students. And again, it's the community. I mean, I know most librarians, just with like the ISTE Librarians Network and all of our Facebook groups that we're on, it's just going to be one more circle of resources that you can have. And again, I use it in just my personal making with a Raspberry Pi, and then specific questions with using it in the classroom. It's so beneficial. So I cannot stress that enough. I'm just checking out our Twitter. I will definitely put the link that Matt mentioned for the
Raspberry Jam
event at ISTE, the Raspberry Pi Jam at ISTE. So we'll make sure that we get that on the Weebly so that you guys can think about it and sign up. And then actually, if any of you guys are using the Raspberry Pi in your libraries, that would be an awesome session at our playground. And again, nothing is too simple. Just talking about, maybe you're not the one using it, but you make it accessible to your kids. Just talking about how you're organizing, how you're storing it. Are you circulating it? Do you just have a bunch of SD cards that you're circulating with kids, or are you circulating the actual device, or are you using it for digital signage, or what are you doing with it? That would be an awesome session for a playground. So if nobody does that, I'm going to make Alyssa do that. But she's not here, so she can't say anything. So with that being said, Matt, if you do not have anything else, or if you think of something, you can always send it and we will post it up. But I cannot thank you enough for hopping on. Oh, you know what? One more thing, everybody out there. So Matt mentioned Carrie Ann, Director of Education. Is that her title?
I think that's her title. Yes, yes.
It's something like way up top. And so she just relatively recently did a segment on Crash Course, which I feel like a lot of librarians, we just love Crash Course. We love John Green. If you check that out, she just did one on computer science, like five short 10-minute videos. Awesome. Definitely check those out. I'll share that link out too. But that was like something that I actually just watched very recently, just because yeah, sure, I can say binary, that's ones and zeros, but what it means, where it came from, blah, 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 with pictures in 10 minutes was perfect, and cartoons. So that was what I needed. So definitely check that out, or it's just a great resource to share with your kids too. All right, guys, well, with that being said, we're going to sign off until next time. And Matt, thanks again for joining us. I thank you so, so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I can't wait to see everyone at ISTE.
All right, see you guys.